Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Illinois Supreme Court upholding the ban on AR-15 rifles. The most popular rifle in the United States, with over 50% of every rifle being of the AR-15 pattern, which is ironically invented in California by Armorlight Company. It's called Armorlight Rifle, AR-15, and it's the most popular rifle, but Illinois wants to ban it. Now, this is according to Reuters. It is a recent article that came up, and Illinois, again, one of the most totally not corrupt, morally vacuous. The city of Chicago is a great place to live and start a business, I hear. That was a joke, you see, because it's been politically one-sided for about 95 years now, and crime rates, poverty rates there, yeah, it's about the same. But yeah, people there like it, apparently. Now, it looks like the Illinois Supreme Court specifically upheld a Democrat-backed ban on assault-style rifles and large-capacity magazines after a deadly shooting in Chicago's Highland Park suburb in 2022 that left 7 dead and dozens wounded. Now, do they care about the regular inner-city shootings that happen every day, which statistically are the most dangerous in the United States? No, they don't care about that, but this they care about. They'll manipulate and they'll use it for their political gains because they are morally vacuous, in my opinion. Now, it looks like the state's high court breakdown was 4-3, and they rejected arguments by groups of plaintiffs led by Republican State Representative Dan Calkins that the ban violated the Illinois Constitution by not applying the law equally to citizens. Now, it looks like Illinois' governor, which of course they're never corrupt or ousted, they're always high standards up there. Their governor, J.B. Pritzker, in a statement calling the ruling, quote, a win for advocates, survivors, and families alike because it preserves the nation's leading legislation on combating gun violence to save countless lives, unquote. Even though every study done about the topic has shown it has no effect on mass shootings, no effect on these crimes. Statistically speaking, statistically speaking, according to the FBI databases, rifles account for very, very, very little actual killings in the United States. It's a fraction. Even more people every year are killed by blunt objects, according to the FBI. Literally, baseball bats are more deadly. But, politically speaking, black rifle's scary, so they use that to manipulate the voter base. Now, it looks like in January, he signed into law a measure ironically called Protect Illinois Communities Act, which, again, they've been in charge for 100 years. You can't protect your communities, but this extra law will. They've had this law before. Unfortunately, I know people who have grown up in the Soviet Union, known as Illinois, and in Cook County, which encapsulates Chicago, they've had similar bans throughout the years. No effect at all. But back to the specifics. The specific recent ban goes against what they call high-powered, which ironically the .223 round is not high-powered. A hunting rifle with a bolt action that has more power. But I digress for a minute or a second. They say it bans the sale and distribution of many high-powered semi-automatic assault rifles, including AK-47s and AR-15 rifles and large-capacity magazines. I use quotes so much with that statement, it almost hurt my fingers, because again, high capacity is not high capacity, it's standard capacity. The rifle was invented with a 30-round magazine for both the AK-47 as well as the subsequent AR-15 pattern rifle. Ridiculous? Yes. And of course, they say it's going to protect citizens, but we all know, yeah, it's not really going to do any of that at all, because again, the crime rates, the death rates, Chicago has not changed for pretty much ever. Now, I'll be interested to see, as they bring this up, I believe they also say there are exceptions, of course, for the government. So, of course, the police and the government, they do not have to give up their rifles. And federally speaking, many are confident this is going to get struck down because, again, the government's consistent, or the Supreme Court has ruled in the past, you can't ban a firearm in common use. Now, the key word common use there, what's the most common rifle in the United States? It's the AR-15. Partially because the patent has long expired, so any manufacturer can make it if they have a proper FFL manufacturer license, Federal Firearm License manufacturer license. You can create it and sell it for a profit through the proper channels distributions. And you don't have to pay a fee or a royalty for the design of it because it's in public domain. Anyone can make it. Now, let me know in the comments, do you think Illinois will become safer because of this arbitrary law? Which they've tried before. It's almost like the definition of insanity. They try again the same thing. But unfortunately, politically speaking, it's a smart move on their part on the chessboard because the people who vote for them want this. Is it morally vacuous and disgusting that it disarms thousands of law-abiding citizens and struggling families who want to protect themselves, while at the same time the politicians, they get unlimited arms to protect themselves? Yes, that is exactly correct. It's disgusting. So we'll see. You have more and more states trying to rack up these laws, but many are speculating the lawsuits are out there, and this will of course play out with courts. You're going to have some people who go back and forth. They'll eventually someday make it to the Supreme Court, and the speculation there is that they'll shoot these things down, and hopefully they'll even get rid of the NFA, or the National Firearms Act, which was passed, darn near 100 years ago, and that really does step all over the Bill of Rights. But that's just my 3 cents. It used to be 2 cents, but unfortunately, we have 40-year hyperinflation. It's got to charge 3 cents. Although the show is free, if you do click that subscribe button, it does help us out a lot. Again, try to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of August. I'd greatly appreciate it. And the more we grow together, the better the show will get. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of August, so you can click that button. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.